Chef Champion here to take you on a culinary journey I promise you've never been before. I'm here to help mold you, shape you, motivate you, and most importantly, inspire you into cooking like a champion. I'm Chef Champion, but my friends call me Ace. Welcome to the new age of culinary learning. Cook like a champion on this great station.
We're back at Ahman Green's house. He had to take off for a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and get cooking because I gotta have that meal ready for when he gets back. So what I'm making today is a stuffed chicken marsala, and we're gonna be stuffing it with some Newski's applewood cherry bacon and Sholesberg creamery delicious pepper jack cheese. So I started off with the regular chicken breast, and basically what you wanna do is you wanna pound the front end of the chicken breast because you want it to have an even cooking. So by pounding it off, it also allows me to get a good butterfly. So, and I know some restaurants, when they do butterfly, they actually cut the chicken breast in half, but that can tend to be a little bit messy when you go to slice it. So make sure you have a fillet knife. I'm using nice Cutco cutlery. There's a reason why there's a different knife for each job. So I'm just gonna put my hand right over the chicken breast and kind of just saw right in the middle. And notice that my body is low because I wanna see where I'm cutting. I wanna try and make it as even as possible. So then we're gonna open that up just like a butterfly. Take the knife and split it right down the middle just a little bit so it opens up. You can use a mallet or you can just take your hand and just pound it just a little bit because you want it a little bit flatter. The flatter it is, the better it's gonna roll. All right, and you see how it has that pretty side, and I call that the not so pretty side. The not so pretty side is the side you wanna run first. So the first thing I wanna do is take some of this cherry wood apple bacon. I'm just gonna lay that there like so. Now we're gonna take this Sholesberg pepper jack cheese, and obviously using a cheese knife so it cuts right through very nicely. It's just gonna make a couple of slices, probably about 3. And you can play around with it. Do you have to use pepper jack? No, you really don't. You can use whatever you want. But I like pepper jack just because it gives it a little bit of a bite. I'm just gonna lay that in. Just like that. So now what you wanna do is you actually wanna roll it. So I'm just gonna roll this as tight as possible. The tighter you roll it, the more it's gonna stay strong and stay firm. There you go. So now it's actually stuffed, as you can see. So the next thing we wanna do is just go ahead and get our oil started. And I'm using a healthy avocado oil because I try and be a little bit healthy, you know, and this has a 520-degree smoke point. So for those of you guys at home that love to use olive oil works, but it tends to burn up on you. It only has about a 320-degree smoke point. So with that chicken breast, I wanna make sure I season it well. So I want a little bit of kick, so I'm gonna use a Cajun season. By all means, if you wanna use salt and pepper, use whatever you wanna use. And I'm gonna season that nicely. Notice how I always season high above the product, so it gradually rains on it. You want even distribution. And then I'm gonna add just a little bit of basil. Let it rain. There you go. And I'm just gonna turn that over, season it well. And you guys notice when I'm seasoned heavenly, you know. Please make sure you do that. Some of those recipes where they just say, oh, a little pinch of this and a pinch of that, you're really asking for some pretty bland food, and we don't want that. We want it full of flavor. So literally, as you guys can see that there's actual smoke coming out of the skillet, that's what you want. You want it to smoke. And as you see how that seam is actually the side that you want to sear first, just like so. All right. So there's really not a lot of time on the recipe. I do give you a time. I want to say you want to sear it about a minute, minute and a half on each side. As you see, it's round, so you want to make sure you turn it 4 times so you get a good sear on all 4 sides. So while that's going, we'll go ahead and get started on our vegetables that we're gonna use to make our Marsala cream sauce. Proper way to hold the knife, 3 fingers curled underneath the handle, index finger is actually on the blade. And then you're just gonna run it across the steel a couple of times. So check that, and as you see, it's starting to get that nice sear right there. That's how you know to go ahead and turn it. Definitely don't want to burn it because we're going to be finishing in the oven, combination cooking method. And then notice my motion as I'm cutting, I'm pretty much just rocking the blade back and forth. That's pretty much my standard motion. Once I get close to my fingertip, I'm just gonna fold that over just like so. And then we'll just fast forward and speed it up a little bit. This is almost done, so I'm gonna throw that in the oven, let that finish cooking, and we're gonna take a quick break, come right back, and I'll show you how to make this delicious Marsala cream sauce.
A must for holiday shoppers in Door County is to enjoy Cherry Delight dried cherries that Country Ovens is known for. Come sample our Door County original, Cherry Delights, our chocolate-covered Cherry Delights, and our delicious tart cherry juice. We have something for everyone to enjoy. Custom make a gift box with your choice of items for that special occasion and have it shipped anywhere. Country Ovens is located in Forestville, just 30 minutes from Green Bay. Come taste the real Door County dried cherry, Cherry Delights.
All right, welcome back. Let's check on our chicken over here. You see how it's got a nice sear on all four sides? You're good to go. We're just gonna take that off, put that on a non-stick baking pan. And then before you put it in the oven, you just wanna drizzle a little bit of that Marsala over that. That's gonna keep the chicken breast nice and moist. And then we're just gonna throw that in the oven. I have my oven on a low, probably about 325. We're gonna bake that off for probably about 15, 20 minutes. All right, so now we have just a little bit of oil. I don't need all of that, so I'm gonna get rid of some of that. We'll go ahead and add in our mushrooms first. You always want to start with the ones that take the longest. So obviously the mushrooms take the longest, so we're gonna throw those in there. And then now we're gonna cut up some shallots. I'm a bit of a crybaby, forgive me. So, you know, I got these onion goggles that I got at Cook's Corner, keep me from crying. So an easy way to cut an onion or a shallot is just make small slices. Turn that at a 90-degree angle and slice all the way through. So essentially, really all I'm doing is just slicing and slicing. But I love shallots. Really, really good in the sauces. So then the last thing that we want to add is the garlic, because garlic should always be added in last. I got this little garlic roller. Also, I picked up from my little local kitchen store. I just want to roll the garlic just like that, and it actually just peels the garlic. And I know some of you guys are out there wondering, Chef, can I use the garlic in the jar? Yeah, you can use the garlic in the jar. Is it fresh? No, it's not even close to being fresh. I always like just using fresh garlic, cut through it so you get all the nice health benefits. Garlic is extremely good for you. Excellent for your blood pressure. Man, it's good for your stamina, I'm just saying. So I want to make as thin slices as possible. Turn that at a 90-degree angle, just like everything else. Slice it again. And funny story, actually when I'm cutting, I'm actually tightening up my stomach muscles. It's an awesome core workout. Will you get a six-pack from this? No, but it has just helped you ground yourself, so remember that. So now that I have that rough chop, I'm just gonna give it a chop. Always making sure I bring it up into a nice pile. And then we're gonna throw that garlic right into there. All right. Just wanna give this a nice little mix. All right, now comes the fun part. So traditionally I would use some rum or some whiskey, but I got this nice Van Drastic premium vodka right here in Wisconsin. We're gonna use that to make a pretty much like a vodka cream sauce. So whenever you're flambeing, always remember this is optional too as well. Pull it away from the gas stove, add in the vodka right to the edge, and then just kind of let it sit there for a minute so the vodka kind of gets warmed up just a little bit. And then we're just gonna tilt that into the fire just like so. All right, put that over there. Give that a nice little mix. So the alcohol is just reducing down. It's pretty much infusing the mushrooms and the shallots, giving it that nice vodka flavor. So now I'm gonna add in some Marsala wine, just a little bit. Just a little bit. And the last thing that I want to do is add in some of my chicken stock. So what I did with this chicken stock is I just reduced it by half. And when I mean reduced by half, that means if you end up with 2 cups, you end up with a half a cup. So basically we're just evaporating all the water, getting all that getting all that water content out there so we have a nice concentrated flavor. So the last thing that we want to add is just a little bit of heavy whipping cream. Just a little bit, just to say I put it in there. Give that a nice little mix. All right. And that's almost done. We'll go ahead and get our garnish. And with parsley, just make sure you remove all the stems out of it. And what I like to do is I like to just ball it up really, really nice and tight and just slice right through it. So now you have nice little parsley. And if you want this dried, you can just lay this out on parchment paper, put it on top of your refrigerator, and the next day it'll be nice and dry for you. So this is pretty much almost done. What you want to do too as well, because this is a larger batch, make you a little cornstarch slurry. I'm not a fan of water, so we're gonna make a vodka slurry. How about that? You ever heard of that before? I know you haven't, because I just made it up just right now. There you have it. Vodka slurry, courtesy of Chef Champion. So it thickens up nicely. Whenever you're using a slurry, just use a little bit at a time just to try and see how it thickens up, because you might not have to use all that the recipe calls for. So the last thing that we want to do is add in some of this delicious pure Wisconsin butter. And I always like to use salted butter because salted butter just gives it that nice little tang that you need. So I'm going to let this finish cooking. We're going to take a quick break, and then we come back. We're going to actually put it together, and then I'm going to show you how to make one of my new recipes, Cherry Delight Tiramisu with white chocolate. We'll be right back.
Choosing a good cheese takes years of experience. Let Schellsberg Creamery help you pick the best. No cheese hits the shelves without the Schellsberg Creamery stamp of approval. Look for our brand in your favorite store. Ask for it by name. Schellsberg Creamery, the taste of old-fashioned goodness.
Wisconsin farmers support an $80+ billion industry that employs more than 400,000 people. Farmers continue to sustain Mother Nature's resources for future generations and create quality relationships with area businesses.
Mark Toyota thanks the farmer.
J-Mar thanks the farmer.
Ansane Associates thanks the farmer.
Central Door Solutions thanks the farmer.
Midstate Truck Service thanks the farmer.
And we thank you for buying Wisconsin potatoes.
All right, welcome back. So as you see, our Marsala cream sauce is thickened up very nicely. You know, obviously if it's a little bit too thick, which this looks a little bit too thick, you can always just thin it out with a little bit of cornstarch. Yes, you can add a little bit more of that vodka to it, but you want to be careful with that vodka. You don't want it to taste like a shot. So that's pretty much done. We're going to go ahead and get our chicken out the oven, see if that's done. All right, looks done to me. So the last little finishing technique is all that juices left in the chicken. We're going to pour that right into the skillet. There you go. And then we're going to take that chicken breast and let that rest. You always want your chicken to rest for at least 5 minutes so all the juices settle in. Take our chicken breast, and I always like to leave half of it intact, so we're just going to make some slices at an angle. Oh my goodness, you see how you can actually see the actual cheese melting with the bacon? Some good stuff right there. Couple more slices. I'm gonna leave just a little bit of the chicken because you don't want to cut it all too much for them. Give them a little bit of work. Just gonna lay it out just like so. Take my green beans, add that to there. There you go. And then take some of that Marsala cream sauce and spoon that right over the chicken breast. Oh my goodness. You make this for your family, you make this for your neighbors, they're gonna love you to death. All right, so I told you we were gonna get started on that tiramisu. I'm just gonna clean this up right quick and then we'll jump right into that. Leave that over here, make sure mine gets that. All right, remember I told you I was gonna show you how to make that white chocolate cherry tiramisu? We're gonna get right into that. So you wanna make sure you start off with 3 egg yolks. Please use the egg yolks. First time I made this, I actually made it for a cooking class. I put the whole eggs in there. Trust me, it does not come out the same way. So you just need the egg yolks. So then I'm just gonna add in half a cup of sugar. I'm actually doing a half a recipe that you guys will be doing at home. So this feeds probably about 4 or 5 people. Give that a nice little stir. And this is definitely something that you want to continue and keep stirring and keep working with it. Please don't walk away from this. You will end up with scrambled eggs. And even though I love scrambled eggs, just not with my dessert. So I don't know if you guys can get in there and see, you see how it's actually starting to melt nicely. All right, that's when we're gonna go ahead and add in our other ingredients. So I'm gonna add in a little bit of chocolate Kahlua, because traditional tiramisu is coffee-based, and I'm not a fan of coffee, but I love me some Kahlua. So I'm gonna add a little bit of that in there. I'm gonna add in a little bit of this Madagascar vanilla bean paste to it. Do you have to use Madagascar? No, you can use McCormick. Please don't use an imitation, because you guys, we're making all natural ingredients right here, so make sure you do that. Now I'm gonna add in my chocolate chips and mascarpone cheese. Can you use cream cheese? I know someone out there is wanting to know. Yeah, you can, but cream cheese is a little bit more bitter. Mascarpone is really nice and smooth and really makes for a good classic tiramisu. So we're just gonna mix that in. And you wanna just keep stirring this and keep mixing this probably for about, I wanna say 10 to 15 minutes until you got a nice creamy texture. And then we're just gonna take that off, just like so, and we're gonna throw that in the oven for probably, we're gonna throw that in the refrigerator for probably about, probably 45 minutes to an hour. You wanna make sure that it's called Sauvignon, say it with me, Sauvignon. You wanna make sure that your Sauvignon is nice and cool before you mix it with the whipping cream. All right, so while that's in there cooling, we'll go ahead and get our ladyfingers ready. So I'm starting off with this Cherry Delight Preserve. I love it because it's all natural. Down there at Country Ovens, they really make a good product. Whenever I'm doing anything, I try and be as all natural as possible. You know, I know it's kind of hard going to the grocery store. I know most of the stuff on the shelves is not so natural. That's why I like going to these little small shops. So we want to thin this out. Obviously, you guys know I'm not going to use no water, so I'm going to use a little bit of Bacardi 151. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Oops. Come on, we're in the Midwest, you guys. That's not even enough to even register. So I'm going to give that a nice little mix. And I love this cherry preserve because I don't know if you guys can get in there and see, it actually has the chunks of cherries in there, which makes just for an excellent dipping. So, you know, traditional tiramisu, we would be dipping this in coffee, but we're not gonna do that. We're gonna actually use this cherry preserve and rum. So we're just gonna take these lady fingers and we're gonna start layering them. And like I said, I'm doing a half a recipe. Nice layer. And then you just break off the little piece. Figure out a way what to do with the leftovers. And now I'm actually gonna take a spoon. You can use a spoon, a brush, whatever you like. But I'm just gonna spoonful some of these cherries right over the lady fingers. Just like so. Make sure you save enough for the other side. So while that's getting going, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back, and then we'll jump right in and we'll finish it up, and then we'll actually get to eat it and see how it all tastes. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So now what we wanna do is we wanna go ahead and get our whipping cream made. So bust out the KitchenAid. Very important with your whipping cream, you freeze the bowl. Yeah, really important when you make homemade whipping cream. Just make sure you freeze the bowl so your whipping cream stays nice and cool. Worst thing that you want to do is add heat to that whipping cream. You definitely don't want to do that. All right, so all I'm going to do is just add in my whipping cream. I'm going to add in probably about 3/4 of a cup. Because remember, we're just doing a half a recipe. You always want to start your KitchenAid mixer on low and then gradually get higher. Please do not over whip this. Oh my God, it will turn into butter. And even though I know you Midwesterns love butter, this is not the good butter, trust me. All right, now that it's Turn that down a little bit so you guys can hear me. Now it's probably about soft peaks. That means it's getting pretty stiff in there. This is the time where I want to add in a little bit of powdered sugar. And I love using powdered sugar instead of regular sugar because it doesn't weigh it down as much as regular sugar. So I'll give that one last mix. A good whipping cream, you should be able to turn it upside down and do that. Don't hit this. I did this once in front of a class of person and literally it popped right there on her hair. So please make sure you don't do that. So now that our whipping cream is done, we're gonna go ahead and marry that with our Sauvignon. We'll go ahead and grab that out of the fridge. And this went in the refrigerator for probably a good hour, so it's nice and stiff. So I'm just gonna take my whipping cream and add that right to my Sauvignon. So you guys know essentially what I'm making is mousse. This is pretty much chocolate mousse. That's all that tiramisu really is. What I started to learn when I started to cook a lot of different desserts, that a lot of the French desserts are pretty close to the Italian desserts that are pretty close to the Louisiana desserts. So as you guys see, I'm folding this in nicely. Please don't use a whisk. You want to keep that air in your whipping cream. Once that whipping cream goes dead, it's pretty much done. And now you just got the liquid whipping cream, which you don't want that. So if you guys just say, you know what, I don't even want to finish this, go ahead and get you a bowl, get you a nice big spoon, put on your favorite movie and go to town. Because this is definitely edible. And it's calorie free. Not, I'm just kidding. It's got a little bit of calories, but like I said, it's all natural, so your body knows how to digest it. So I'm gonna take that Sauvignon and I'm just gonna spoonful that right over that first layer. I love it when everything works the way it's supposed to work. Don't get me wrong, you guys, I've made this a couple of times and it did not come out this way. I think what I did wrong was my Sauvignon wasn't cooled enough. So when I mixed it with my whipping cream, I literally just melted the whipping cream. So we're gonna add one more layer of the lady fingers right down there. So as this sets into the refrigerator, what's gonna happen is the mousse is actually gonna, or the lady fingers is actually gonna absorb the mousse. A lot of people misinterpret tiramisu as a cake, which is kind of like a cake, but not. And then we're gonna take the rest of that delicious cherry and rum mixture and spoonful that right over it. Just like so. Give that a nice spread. And then last but not least, finish it with the rest of your Sauvignon. You guys learn that word. You go around to your neighbors and you start spitting out Sauvignon, they're gonna think you're so fancy. I'm like, where'd you learn that from? You tell them, I was watching the Chef Champion show. That's all. Give that a nice spread. So last but not least, the last thing that we want to do is add in our cocoa. And we're gonna spread this pretty heavy. You literally want to cover the whole top with the cocoa. Remember, season high above so you can actually see where it's going. If you guys never made homemade tiramisu, it is the best. Very easy, simple ingredients that you should have in your cabinet already. Maybe not the lady fingers, but you definitely should have the cream. And this is the Midwest. I know you got the liquor in there. So cover this, put this in the refrigerator. This is gonna probably have to do it overnight. They recommend 6 to 8 hours. Overnight is definitely the best. It's actually the best after the second day, so just a heads up. All right, so obviously I had to make one ahead of time because we're on TV time. And this is what it's supposed to look like when it comes out. I don't know if you get a good shot of that. Nice and firm. I can turn it upside down. It's nice and stiff. That's what you want with a good tiramisu. You definitely don't want it runny. This is not pudding, that's for sure. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and plate this up and see what it looks like. So we'll take our knife, nice little cut right down the middle. Now I'm gonna do a king's portion right here. Always the first one's always the hardest one to get out, so but we'll see what we can do. Oh, there they actually came out pretty good. So you see how we have it? You can actually see the cherries up inside of it. You can see the nice cocoa on the top of it. I know you can't see the rum in there, but it's in there. So we're gonna go ahead and place that on a plate just like that. It's good eating right there, you guys. So there you have it, your Cherry Delight white chocolate tiramisu. Get all the rest of this stuff all put in some Tupperware. I think Ahman Green is getting ready to come home, so I want to make sure I have that done for him. And I think that's it. So thank you for watching Cook Like a Champion. I hope you can go into your kitchen and make this just like I did. I know you'll do well. That's our show. I'll see you next week, you guys.
Today's show is brought to you by Shullsburg Creamery, Glorious Malone's Fine Sausage, Cherry Delight of Country Ovens, Tunderland Home Improvement.